They say grief comes in waves. But for me, it felt like a flood that never receded. For 5 years, my wife Amanda and I tried to start a family. 5 years of hope, disappointment, and heartbreak. Each miscarriage carved a deeper hole in us, but we held on, convinced that the next time would be different, that someday it would stick. But life had a way of pulling the rug out from under us just when we thought we were steady. My dad died right before the last pregnancy. One night he went to bed and just never woke up. The medical examiner said his heart gave out. I guess mine did too. Dad wasn't just my father. He was my anchor, my compass, and for as long as I could remember, my entire world. Mom died when I was barely 3, too young to hold on to more than fleeting impressions of her. Soft hands smoothing my hair as I drifted off to sleep. A lullaby so faint it slips away every time I try to grasp the melody. After she was gone, it was just me and him, navigating a life that often felt too big for two people. Yet somehow, his presence made the absence of everyone else bearable. He raised me alone, never once searching for companionship or entertaining the idea of love again. Every ounce of his being was poured into being the father I needed. He juggled long workdays, unpaid bills, and the endless chaos of raising a child with a quiet resilience that never cracked, even when life seemed determined to break him. From him, I learned more than just the basics of life: how to ride a bike, fix a broken engine, or tie a fishing lure. He taught me the lessons that shape a person's soul: how to stand tall when life knocks you down, how to offer kindness in a world that often gives you none, and how to love fiercely, even when it hurts like hell. He was there for every scraped knee, every late-night fever, every wild dream I chased without a plan. And when Amanda came into my life, he welcomed her not as a stranger, but as family. When we married, his pride was almost palpable, like he believed I'd found the kind of love he'd quietly sacrificed for me. Through every hardship Amanda and I faced, every miscarriage, every tear-filled night, every moment when the weight of our grief felt unbearable, he stood beside me, unshaken, unwavering, reminding me, with that quiet strength of his, that real love was worth every battle. Losing him wasn't just losing a person. It felt like the universe itself had shifted, like the axis that held my world steady had snapped without warning. The ground beneath me no longer felt solid, cracked wide open under the weight of a grief I wasn't ready to carry. Since that day, every morning has felt like waking up in a world that's quieter, emptier, and irreversibly changed. Because how do you keep going when the person who taught you how to survive is gone? Then we suffered the final major blow. We lost the baby. We'd made it 5 months that time. I even felt the baby kick. We'd even picked out a name. But none of that mattered. Amanda and I barely spoke after that. There was no blame, no shouting, no finger pointing. Just silence. The house became a mausoleum, filled with shadows of what could have been. Eventually, we divorced, sold the house, split the money, and wished each other well. She moved back to New Hampshire. I stayed in California long enough to pack up the pieces of a life I no longer recognized. Then I left. I took an extended leave from work, packed my Jeep Gladiator with camping gear, and pointed it east. I told myself it was about reconnecting with nature, finding peace in the wild. But really, I was running. From the memories, the silence, the crushing weight of everything I'd lost. By late April, I found myself in a national forest somewhere in southwestern New Mexico. I'd read it was beautiful and untouched, the kind of place where you could lose yourself in the trees and maybe, just maybe, leave some of the pain behind. The afternoon was warm, mid-70s, with a soft breeze threading through the pines. I pulled off a dirt road into a designated parking spot, slung my pack over my shoulder, and started hiking. The trail was quiet, just the crunch of my boots on dry earth and the occasional chirp of distant birds. After about an hour and a half, I stumbled upon a shallow creek cutting through a small clearing. It was perfect. Too perfect. The kind of spot you see in postcards, the kind you don't just pass by. But then I saw it. Right next to where I planned to pitch my tent was a perfect circle of mushrooms, about 15 feet across. A fairy ring. I'd read about them before, knew they were natural, but something about this one felt wrong. Too symmetrical. Too deliberate. For a second I thought about finding another spot, but I shook it off. Superstition wasn't my thing. The creek was too good a water source to pass up. I set up camp, unpacked my gear, and arranged my solar lanterns in a wide circle around my tent, something I always did for a little extra light and a sense of security. Then I tried to settle in. The afternoon was peaceful. The gentle gurgle of the creek, the distant calls of birds, the rustle of wind in the trees. I even pulled out my journal, trying to put words to the mess in my head. But as the sun dipped below the horizon, the forest changed. It wasn't just the darkness creeping in. It was this feeling, like the trees were watching me. The air felt heavier, thicker, like it was pressing against my skin. I've camped solo before, and sure, being out in the woods alone can make you jumpy. But this wasn't just nerves. This was something else. I shook it off, made a quick dinner, and crawled into my tent around 8 p.m. Before turning in, I tried to call Amanda, not because we were close, but because we had a deal. Whenever I camped alone, I'd check in, just so someone knew I was okay. But where I'd had 4 bars of service earlier, now I had nothing. No signal. I walked around the perimeter of my campsite, holding my phone up like a lifeline, but it was useless. I figured I'd try again in the morning. No big deal. By 9 p.m., I was zipped into my sleeping bag, headlamp off, listening to the sounds of the night. The forest was alive, the steady trickle of the creek, the chirp of crickets, the occasional hoot of an owl. I let out a slow breath, letting the sounds of nature settle my nerves. But then, the forest started to change. The crickets stopped first. The distant hoot of the owl faded. The night grew unnaturally still, as if the forest itself was holding its breath. I sat up, straining to listen. Snap. A twig broke somewhere off to my left. I froze. It was faint, but unmistakable. Probably just a deer, I told myself, but the hair on the back of my neck stood on end. Minutes passed. Then another sound. A faint shuffle, like footsteps brushing through leaves. Slow. Deliberate. Too deliberate. I gripped my flashlight, heart pounding. Then, a whisper. Not a voice. Not yet. Just a murmur. Soft and incoherent. Like someone whispering just far enough away that you couldn't make out the words. Shh. Shh. I held my breath, trying to catch it clearly. It stopped. I exhaled slowly, shaking my head. You're hearing things. But then it started again. More whispers, multiple voices, low, overlapping murmurs, like dozens of people whispering at once but not saying anything I could understand. The sound circled me, weaving through the trees. Shh. It was like they were watching, waiting. I swallowed hard, forcing myself to stay calm. The whispers grew louder, closer, but still unintelligible, like they were just out of reach. I squeezed my eyes shut. This is in your head, I told myself. It's just the isolation, the dark. But when I opened my eyes, the whispers were louder. Shh. I clicked on my flashlight and shone it through the mesh window of the tent. Nothing. Just endless trees and darkness. I sighed, trying to steady my breathing. But as I lowered the flashlight, something caught my eye. 2 glowing white spots. Eyes. They were far off, maybe 20 or 30 feet away, hovering at eye level, unmoving. Not the quick, reflective flash you get from animals, but steady, glowing orbs that remained even when I shifted the flashlight away. I blinked, and they were gone. You're tired, I thought. It's nothing. I lay back down, but sleep wouldn't come. Minutes passed, maybe an hour. Time felt stretched thin. Tap, tap, tap. A light tapping on the fabric of my tent. I sat up quickly, heart racing. I held my breath, waiting. Nothing. I gripped my knife tightly, my knuckles white. Then, through the mesh window, I saw them again. The eyes. Closer this time, maybe 15 feet away. And this time, they moved. Not like an animal, not even like a person. They slid, smoothly, sideways, without any sound or break in motion. Then they disappeared behind a tree. The whispers continued, louder now, but still unintelligible. Shh, Chase, shh. I froze. Did it just say my name? No, it couldn't have. I listened harder. The whispers turned back into soft, indistinguishable murmurs. My heart pounded in my ears. More time passed. An hour? 2? I didn't know anymore. Every few minutes I thought I saw movement just beyond the light of my lanterns. Flickers of shadows, figures darting between trees. Quick flashes of white, like eyes or faces, gone the moment I focused on them. I heard soft footsteps circling my tent. They would stop, then start again, but from a different direction, as if something, or many things, were moving around me. Then, breathing. Soft and slow, right outside the tent wall. I squeezed my eyes shut, trying to make it stop, but when I opened them, I saw the eyes again. Closer, 10 feet away now, unblinking, and then they disappeared. The whispers grew louder, more distinct, but I still couldn't make out the words. I checked my phone. 1:47 a.m. No signal. Battery draining fast. I put it down and rubbed my face with shaking hands. Then, from the far side of the clearing, I saw something. A figure. Not tall, not wide, but wrong. Its outline was barely visible, but it moved in short, jittery bursts, like a puppet being yanked by invisible strings. First left, then right, then forward, then gone. I sat frozen, gripping my knife tighter. Minutes passed. Then I heard my name. Chase. Amanda's voice. My stomach dropped. Chase, come out. Her voice was soft, tender, but there was something off about it, like it was stretched too thin, almost fragile. Please, come see her. Then I heard it. A baby crying. Soft at first, like a whimper, but growing louder, more desperate. She needs you, Chase. Amanda's voice cracked with emotion. I bit my lip, hard enough to draw blood. No. I squeezed my eyes shut. When I opened them, I saw the eyes again. Several pairs this time, scattered throughout the trees. Watching, they flickered in and out of sight as if they were blinking in unison. Chase, please, Amanda whispered. Come out to us. The baby's cry intensified, piercing the silence. Don't leave us, Chase. Then I heard another voice. Deep, familiar. Son. My father's voice. Come on now, buddy. Come out." My breath caught in my throat. "I'm here, son. It's okay." Tears welled up in my eyes. "We need you out here," he whispered gently. I clenched my teeth, shaking my head violently. "This isn't real," I told myself. "They're dead. They're gone." And Amanda was over 2,000 miles away. But the baby's cries shattered my resolve. It sounded so real. The whispers surrounded me now, growing louder, echoing in my head, overlapping, weaving together until it felt like they were coming from inside me. "Chase, come out. She's waiting for you. Son, we need you. Don't leave us." The baby's wail was relentless, frantic now, like she was in pain. I couldn't take it anymore. I unzipped the tent in a frenzy, shining my flashlight into the night. Nothing. But then, just at the edge of my vision, I saw the eyes. Dozens of them. And something else. Tall. Pale. Moving. Wrong. A shape darted from tree to tree, faster than it should be able to move. I ran. Branches whipped at my face, my legs burning as I sprinted through the forest, flashlight bouncing wildly. The whispers chased me, calling my name, the baby crying louder, echoing through the trees. "Chase!" Amanda's voice screamed behind me. "Son, come back!" my father's voice bellowed. The eyes followed me, flickering through the trees as if they were gliding alongside me. I burst into the clearing where my Jeep sat waiting, my breath ragged and shallow. I dove into the driver's seat, slammed the door, and pressed the brake, my shaking hand fumbling for the push-start button. Nothing. A loud bang against the window made me scream. I slammed my foot on the brake and pressed the button again. The engine roared to life. I threw the Jeep into reverse, my headlights catching a glimpse of something tall and pale standing at the edge of the lot, watching me. Its face, stretched and wrong, eyes too wide and glowing faintly. I sped away, the whispers fading into the distance. I drove straight through to my buddy's place in Texas, only stopping for gas and bad coffee that did little to keep my hands from shaking. The adrenaline from that night still coursed through me, keeping me wired long after I left the forest behind. Once I crossed into Texas, my phone lit up with missed call alerts and voicemails from Amanda. I felt a knot tighten in my chest as I listened, each message more panicked than the last. "Chase, please call me back. I'm worried. Where are you? Are you okay? Just let me know you're safe. Chase, please. I'm scared something happened." Her voice cracked near the end, and it was almost too much to bear. I called her back the moment the last message ended. When she picked up, I could hear the relief in her shaky breath. I apologized, telling her the area I was in must have been a dead zone. She didn't press me. I think she knew there was more to it, something heavier lingering between my words. But she also knew it wasn't her place to ask anymore. We said goodbye, both of us holding back things we weren't ready or willing to say. It was better this way. Eventually, I relocated to Key West, Florida, found a remote job I loved, and tried to build something close to a normal life. A year has passed, but the memories of that night in the New Mexico forest are as vivid as ever, etched into my mind like scars that refuse to fade. Sometimes when I'm sitting on my back patio at night, a cold beer in hand, staring out at the dark expanse of the ocean, I hear it. A faint whisper carried on the salty breeze. Amanda's voice. My father's voice, and every now and then, a baby crying. I take a slow sip, let the cold liquid settle my nerves, and then quietly head back inside. And I never look back.